let's try to create another application. So I want to simulate a login page so that the user can input username and password, and then we verify those username and password, and then if the credentials is correct, we send some message, and also if the credential is wrong, we also alert the error. Okay, let's do this. First thing first, we are going to design the API specification. Okay, so let's say that we are going to do the login page, right? The login system. So the concept of this one will be quite similar to the previous one. Okay, let me copy this part, place it here, and then for the root service, it will return the login page, okay, with the input for username and password, right? And then we are going to create another service called login. Okay, so this one will verify username and password for this service. And as I explained before, if you have some sensitive data or some secrets, you shouldn't use the get method. Get method is possible for sending the data, but it is not good for, as I explained, sending the secret like password. So this time you will switch the method to post instead. Alright. So for the login here, you will see that we are going to send username and password, right? It means that the user is going to have to input these two values, and then this will be considered as request, okay, that we are going to send it through the server. Alright, so let's try to change the request here. It will be in another format. Okay, so normally when we send username and password, okay, of course we have to send it as a text, but there will be a special kind of text that could contain key and value, and you know that it is called JSON. Okay, so this kind of request, it will be in the body part of the request. I'm going to use this kind of format. It will be attached with the body of the HTTP. Okay, and then the format will be in JSON. Okay, you can provide JSON here, and then the JSON will be in this format of key and value, right? So it is better to provide some example. So the key will be username, for example. The real username could be, for example, admin, and another key is password. Okay, the value could be anything, but it could not be text. Okay, so for example, like 141. Okay, so this is a bad password, but it just lead for demonstration. Alright, so this is what we are going to do. Okay, the format that we want to display and send to the backend. We would like to get the data from the user, make it as JSON, and then send to the backend. Alright, so this is the login request part. How about the response code? Okay, so if everything is alright, as I explained, the username and password both are correct, we should respond with some kind of text, for example, saying that login successfully. Alright, so and you can guess that if the login is not a success, for example, either username or password is wrong, okay, we should respond with the error code, right? Generally, for the client error code, we will start with the 400 range. Okay, here we are going to use 401, okay, which mean unauthorized. Okay, so we say that this one will be login fail. Alright, for this case. And you could have another choice, for example, there could be some kind of server error and so on in case of you connect to the database. But for simplicity, I will just put these two possibilities, success and unsuccess. Okay, so let's try to create this route. Okay, let me format this a little bit. Can I merge this? Okay, so example, this one, so that you can see it clearly that we have two conditions here. Alright, okay, so let me explain this again. So right now we have two services, the slash and the login. Slash is just only for rendering the login page, and slash login here is for check the username and password. It is the post method. Because the password is a secret, we send the request as JSON because it can be in the format of username, key and value, like username and password, which are keys here. And also there could be two returning codes, okay, 200 and 401. Okay, 200 is a success case and 401 is a fail case, both return text. For the login example, you can start with either the front end codes or the back end part. Here I'm just choosing the back end first, and then I'm going to test the services at the back end so that I can make sure that everything at the back end side is 100% correct, and then I will switch to the front end. Alright, so you see that currently we have existing services, something similar to this. Of course, we are going to change the first route here. According to our design, it should render the login.html. Okay, so just change this. Even we don't have this file yet, okay, we will do it very soon. Okay, another one is that we are going to create a new service here called login. Alright, so we are going to do that. Okay, so you can guess that it will be something like this one, the app dot. Okay, this time it is the post service, right? According to this design. So we are going to do something like that, exactly. Okay, and the service name is login. Okay, and then it will have the callback as usual, request and response. Alright, nice. Okay, so we have complete this structure. Okay, post here. Right now what we are going to do is to get the request here. Okay, alright, there is a trick here. If you want to get the data from the post as JSON something, okay, you need to add some middleware, okay, some kind of configuration, okay, so that the app.js understand that the data is passed as JSON. And that is not difficult at all. You can just come around here, okay, and then you can just try to use this kind of command, app.use, okay, again, and then say that we are going to allow JSON communication. So we use express.json, okay, with this. So this line will allow you to exchange data as a JSON format between front end and back end. Alright, so right now, in order to get the data, it is something quite simple. So what you have to do is to get username and password, right? Because the username and password are here at the request part. So in order to get that, you have to get it from the request. And the request variable is here, req, right? So to get that, you can use this one, const username equal to request dot username. Alright, okay, so this will be the key for the JSON. Alright, and you can guess that we are going to do the same thing for the password. Okay, so we say that this is the password. Alright, and you can shortcut this if you are quite sure that you are going to set this name to be exactly as the key name. You can do this instead. Oh, sorry, this is my bad. I forget this one important point. Request body.username, alright? Because the data has been embedded with the body, okay? So, equal to request.body. Alright, so these two lines are similar to this one single line. So, let's try to use the second one here. Alright. So right now we will get username and password. Okay, in the beginning we can try to test whether the username and password is correct or not. If it's alright, we can proceed. Okay, assuming that we can get the username and password correctly. So what you have to do next is to verify, right? To check the username and password. Check the credential. Okay, so I will use a simple logic which is not very nice, but it is just for the demo today. So let's try to use this kind of if logic, very simple. Imagine that we have the fixed username and password, which is the username as the admin, and the password is equal to the 1 2 3 4. Okay, something similar to that. This is a right login. So when you get the right login here, we will allow the user to do something. Okay, according to the API spec, we just only send the message login successfully. Okay, so we send as.status 200 and send the message saying that this login is successful. Okay, All right, and you can guess that for the else case, okay, we can just do the thing as we design in the API spec. You see that we return 401 here, right? And login failed. So do the same thing. All right, so this is everything for the login route, login API here. So next thing that we have to do is to test this login service. Generally, as I explained before, to test the GET service, similar to this one, you can use the web browser directly. However, if you would like to test the POST service, you cannot use the web browser, okay? Because in order to make the web browser work with this one, you have to create the the user interface and send the data and so on, which is a long process, okay? So in order to test this thing, we will use an additional tool. And we are going to install the extension for testing this post service. So click the extension here and then look for Lite client. Okay, there are many extensions available in the VS Code market. Okay, so I think this one is quite simple, and of course it is available in many platforms. Okay, click install this one. You can use, for example, the famous Thunder client or Postman if you want. Alright, so after installing Lite client here, you should be able to see this menu. Okay, close this extension. Okay, and then when you click this menu here, Lite client, you should see the menu here, the new one, to create a new request. Okay, click it, new request. And then this is ready for testing. You see that you can choose between different HTTP verbs. Okay, so we are going to switch to POST, right? Because we are going to test this login, which is a POST service. All right, so let's try to change this URL also. Okay, it will be the HTTP /localhost 3000. Okay, and /login. So this is our service that you would like to test, right? Then we are going to send username and password as the parameter to this post service. Okay, to do that, you have to go for the body part here, and then select the raw part here, and then select this JSON. Okay, if it is not JSON, select JSON, and then JSON you start with curly brace, right? Okay, and put the key, which is username. All right, if you take a look at the code, the key will be here, username and password. Okay, and the correct login is admin and 1234, right? Okay, so let's try to put the correct login first. Okay, don't forget this comma. Okay, to separate between each key value pair, and then password, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we are ready to test our service here. So click send here. Okay, so you should get this kind of result, login successful with the status code 200. Okay, however, if we have something wrong, for example, I provide the wrong password, okay, here, and then click send again, you should get login failed with 401 unauthorized. Okay, even I input the correct password, but if the username is wrong, okay, we get the login fail also. Okay, and if everything is alright again, you get the perfect login successful. And we are going to install the extension for testing this post service. So click the extension here, and then look for Lite client. Okay, there are many extensions available in the VS Code market. Okay, so I think this one is quite simple, and of course it is available in many platforms. Okay, click install this one. You can use, for example, the famous Thunder client or Postman if you want. Alright, so after installing Lite client here, you should be able to see this menu. Okay, close this extension. Okay, and then when you click this menu here, Lite client, you should see the menu here, the new one, to create a new request. Okay, click it, new request. And then this is ready for testing. You see that you can choose between different HTTP verbs. Okay, so we are going to switch to POST, right? Because we are going to test this login, which is a POST service. All right, so let's try to change this URL also. Okay, it will be the HTTP /localhost 3000. Okay, and /login. So this is our service that you would like to test, right? Then we are going to send username and password as the parameter to this post service. Okay, to do that, you have to go for the body part here, and then select the raw part here, and then select this JSON. Okay, if it is not JSON, select JSON, and then JSON you start with curly brace, right? Okay, and put the key, which is username. All right, if you take a look at the code, the key will be here, username and password. Okay, and the correct login is admin and 1234, right? Okay, so let's try to put the correct login first. Okay, don't forget this comma, okay, to separate between each key value pair, and then password, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we are ready to test our service here. So click send here. Okay, so you should get this kind of result, login successful with the status code 200. Okay, however, if we have something wrong, for example, I provide the wrong password, okay, here, and then click send again, you should get login failed with 401 unauthorized. Okay, even I input the correct password, but if the login, the username is wrong, okay, we get the login fail also. Okay, and if everything is alright again, you get the perfect login successful. So it means that right now the backend code here is complete. Okay, it is working well as we expected. So we are going to switch to the front end part. To the front end part here, we don't have the file yet because we are going to render the login.html here, right, in the root service. So let's try to create this one in the view folder. Okay, think that this is the login.html. All right, so start it with the HTML file structure, and then you can use any kind of CSS design framework for helping. I'm going to use DCUI and Tailwind CSS. Okay, so if we switch to the DCUI page, okay, there will be the CDN part. I'm going to use it. Okay, copy this one. Okay, and switch back to our code, paste it here. All right, right now we should be able to use DCUI as well as Tailwind. All right, so let's try to create simple UI for this. Okay, first thing first, we are going to create a container. Okay, let's say that I could use the main tag here, and then inside I'm going to set the class to be the flex class. Because of my design, I want to have the login form at the center of the page. Okay, all right, so let's try to use Tailwind justify center as well as the item center, so that the component inside this container will exactly be, you can use a H screen, okay, to fit the whole screen. Everything inside this container will be at the center of the page. All right, so next we're going to create a form. Okay, and this form will be used for submitting username and password. Okay, let's try to get the ID for this form. Say form login. Okay, inside we have username and password, right? So let's say input, and then type text, and let's say that we're going to use a DCUI class input as the placeholder. Okay, username, and we'll do this for the password too. Input the password, and of course we need the name for this one. If we use the form, normally we should have name for the username also. Okay, and this will be the password on the placeholder. This is the password on the class also. All right. So no, class input. Okay. All right. So then we have the button, right, for the login. Okay. So this button type will be submit type in order to submit the form, plus btn for decorating this button. I'm going to use btn primary, which is the DCUI button class. All right, this should be the basic design. Okay, let's see the result. Okay, saving this one, and then we go back to the web browser. Okay, make sure that your service is still running. Okay, if you check the backend, you see that the service is still running, right? We have already changed this one to login the HTML, the root service. Okay, so switch back to here, and then call localhost 3000, and then wait. Okay, you should be able to see this kind of design, username and password, and the login button. centering at the center of the page. Okay, however, it is not yet nice. Okay, because the space and so on. Okay, so let's try to make this thing look better. I'm going to add something quite simple called field set. Okay, and this field set is a missing class in the CUI. It helps manage the thing inside to be in vertical order. Okay, with some spaces automatically. So let's save this one and take a look of the result again. Don't forget to refresh the page. You see that everything is organized, okay, properly, okay, without providing the margin and so on. Okay, all right, so this is ready. Okay, so let's try to focus on the JavaScript right now. Switch back to the code. Okay, it is time for writing the JavaScript part. Okay, let's try to create a new JavaScript file here in the JS folder. So right click here, create new file, saying that this would be the login.js. Alright, and link these two files together in the part before the end of the body tag. Use script source and say that this would be / public JavaScript and login.js. Alright, so after that, it should be ready for the code here. Alright, so the step that we are going to do for the login.js is, first thing first, we are going to get the data from the form. Whenever the user enter username and password, right? So let's try to create the variable for the form login. Okay, we find that, query selector. And here, if you take a look at the login.html, we have the ID for this form login. Okay, just copy this one and don't forget the hashtag. Alright, and then we are going to detect the submission. Okay, form login on submit, okay, equal to the function. Okay, so normally this means that whenever the user submit the form or clicking this button or enter, okay, it will call this event on submit. Okay, and first thing what we have to do is to prevent default. Okay, which means we don't want the form to force the page to reload after the submission. Alright, so next thing is we are going to get the username and password, right? So imagine that we declare a new variable username, okay, and we can get this one from the form. Okay, we can call just form login, and the key, which is the name, right, of this one. If you switch to login.html, we have already set the name of the first input here with username and the second one with the name password. So what we have to do is just we can access it directly using some simple array property. Okay, so we can call this .value. Okay, you can also trim it to remove the white space or the blank space. All right, and we are going to do this, okay, for password too. We get this for the password. All right. And before proceeding, we can try to log this. Okay, we can try to print this value. Username and password, so that we can make sure that the form data has been submitted to this function successfully. Okay, let's try to save this one, and then switch back to the login page. Inspect this, and switch to the console here. Okay, so if we input something like admin, okay, don't forget to reload the page too. Okay, admin and 1 2 3 4 and click login here. We should be able to see this value in the console. So it means that we get the data from the form successfully. All right, so next thing that we want to do is that we want to make the connection to the backend. And we start with commenting this log, and then for simplicity, we can copy the communication that we have done before in this file called.js. If we can remember, previously we have created this kind of function, right? Okay, and then we can just try to copy the idea of try catch from this part, so that we don't have to write it from scratch. Okay, switch to this file called.js and copy this try catch part, and then just come back here and paste it. Okay, so this is the part that we connect to the backend. And first thing first that we can correct is the error here in the await. As I explained, this should be coupled with the async, right? So async should be in front of the function. So that's why we could put it here async to remove this error. Okay, and the service is not now right more, it is login. Okay, so we want to connect to this one. However, if you just call this one fetch slash login, the fetch command will understand immediately that this service is a GET service. But of course, your service is not the GET service, right? So we have to add some more parameters or arguments here to tell that this is the POST service. So let's try to create that configuration, okay, which is the option. Okay, let me name this. And then inside this option, it will be the JavaScript object. Okay, it will have the method. Okay, for example, which is post, right? We have to mention method clearly. For get method, we don't have to do this because the method get method is a default value. But for post, put, delete, and so on, we have to do that. All right. We have to also specify the headers. Okay, because the data that you would like to communicate with the backend will be of the type which is JSON, right? Content type. Okay, so it will be application /JSON. Okay, we have to be clear about this. Okay, and the last one, which is the most important, which is the body. This is the real data. So we want to send this one, username and password, right? But we want to send it as a JSON, because if you can remember previously, we get the data as JSON, okay, from the backend, right? This kind of thing, okay? So we have to make this as JSON. So username and password, clearly they are not JSON, they are just only text, all right? We have to make it as JSON in the format of key and value also. We have to use this kind of thing, okay? So let's try to make it JavaScript object first, okay? It will be with this kind of format. Okay, and username, which is the variable here, and also the password, which is the key, and the value, which is password. All right. So this is the thing that we want to send to the backend. However, we cannot send this. This is JavaScript object. It is not JSON. Okay, to make this JSON, you know that we have the function, JavaScript function called JSON.stringify, right? .stringify. Okay, and we just wrap the JavaScript object inside this function. So this should be the thing that we have to do. Okay, and next thing after having this kind of configuration, the method, the header, and the body, we just put it here. Okay, as options. All right, so the fetch command now, you know that it has to connect to this service with this kind of settings. Okay, post, header, as well as the body. So right now the structure should be the same thing. We should whether this status code is 200, which is the successful login or not. Okay. Instead of writing respond.status equal to 200, you can shorten this one to just only respond.ok. So OK means this is good. Okay, like status 200. Okay, so next thing after getting the OK response, right? Okay, from the backend part, you see that it will send the message, the text, either correct or wrong login. Okay, we get the text, right? So that's why we do the same thing. Okay, we convert this one to the result. Okay, let me change this one to message. Okay, and then what we have to do is actually to alert this message, right? Okay, to show the result. Okay, if it is the correct login. Okay, and also for the wrong login, which will return the status code 401 here, right? Here part 401. So you can use the else case, okay, but the same thing, you can also do similar thing to the previous one. If you would like to focus on this special kind of error, the 401, you can say response dot status equal to 401. Okay, very specific. Okay, and you know that either this case you're going to have to convert this one to text, okay, and alert this message, or you can convert this to text and throw the error to the cache part. So what you have to do is you can try to do this. Okay, throw error and then to the message. Yeah. All right, so this is the correct one, this is the wrong one, this is the another case and detect error. All right, that should be done. Let's try to test the result. What we have to do is just only to switch to the front end, refresh the page, okay, and then try to input. Let's try the first case. Okay, the login and the password is correct. Admin and 1234. We should see login successful. Okay, and let's try to input the wrong password. Okay, you should get login fail. And also, if you try to input the wrong username, even with the right password, you get the login fail. Okay, perfect. So it means that right now our system is working according to our condition. The connection between front end and back end is working perfectly.